early alien spacecraft arrives on a prehistoric Earth and consumes a dark substance, thereby creating life on the planet. Its DNA disintegrates and reassembles, providing the foundation for life on the planet. In 2089, on the Isle of Skye off the Scottish coast, archaeologist Elizabeth Shaw and her boyfriend Charlie Holloway discover a star map in a cave that they record among the ruins of several other forgotten societies. This is interpreted by the archaeologists as an invitation from our predecessors. In order to follow the map to LV-223, the U.S. Prometheus, a scientific deep space research vessel, is created. Peter Weyland, the company's founder and CEO, provides funding. The ship's crew goes into hibernation stasis at light speed, while the android David stays awake at the pilot's controls to monitor their entire journey. In 2093, the ship arrives at LV-223. The crew are sent on a mission to seek out the ancient aliens, called engineers, who may be the designers of humans. They also see a holographic message from Weyland, who urges them to go along with his funding of their mission. Charlie and Elizabeth are in charge of the expedition. The Prometheus enters the atmosphere of the planet, encountering turbulence which dissipates when they break through the cloud cover and can see the surface. The Prometheus lands near an alien structure, resembling a large temple-like pyramid, and a team including Shaw, Holloway, and David explores it, while Vickers and Captain Janik remain aboard the ship and monitor their progress. Mission Director Meredith Vickers orders them to avoid any direct contact and to return if the aliens are found. Inside the pyramid, they discover a pocket of breathable air. In a dank chamber that David unlocks, they find hundreds of cylinder-like artifacts, a monolithic statue of a humanoid head, and the decapitated corpse of a giant alien, thought to be one of the engineers. Other bodies are later found in the structure, and the species is presumed to be extinct. They view archive footage of holographic engineers running down the corridors reacting to a long-ago emergency. David secretly returns a cylinder to the ship, while the remaining cylinders in the chamber begin leaking a dark fluid, activated by the change in temperature or atmosphere when the chamber was opened. A rapidly approaching storm forces the crew to return to Prometheus, leaving crew members Milburn and Fifield stranded in the pyramid structure after becoming lost trying to find the way out. Shaw insists they take the engineer's head back to the ship with them, and they barely make it back alive, David rescuing the couple when they're blown off the loading platform. As the engineer's head is being removed in the ship, Shaw and Ford examine it under a heavy helmet, removing it piece by piece. They discover that the DNA of the human race is identical to that of the engineer. Using an electric needle, they bring the head temporarily back to life. However, exposure to the breathable atmosphere causes the severed engineer's head to decompose rapidly, and it disintegrates. Later, David investigates the cylinder and finds ampoules containing a viscous black substance. The crew of Prometheus discuss the meaning of life. The android David questions why he was created by man, and Shaw questions her own existence as she is infertile and unable to create life. David intentionally infects Holloway with the substance he found within the ampoule, hiding it in a drop of liquid on his finger and briefly dipping it into a glass of champagne Holloway drinks to celebrate their discovery. Later, Shaw and the infected Holloway have sex. Holloway later looks in a mirror and sees his eyes are changing. They are roomy. Back inside the structure, Fifield and Milburn see a strange, snake-like creature emerge from a pool of the black fluid that is leaked from the cylinders. When Milburn tries to examine the creature, it quickly grabs his hand and wraps itself around his arm, breaking it in a matter of seconds. When Fifield tries to cut it off, a corrosive fluid, yellow acidic blood, from one of the creatures melts Fifield's helmet, exposing him to the dark liquid leaking from the cylinders. The creature then works its way into his suit and forces itself down his throat. The next morning after the storm subsides, the Prometheus crew returns to the structure and finds Milburn's corpse. David discovers a room containing a living engineer in stasis and a holographic star map highlighting several distant planetary systems. He watches as holograms of the engineers activate a navigational system. One of the planets that eventually appears is Earth. Suddenly, the system shuts down, leaving the hologram of Earth behind. David finds a single engineer in a nearby stasis pod and can hear its heart beating. Holloway's infection rapidly ravages his body, and he is rushed back to the ship. As he visibly deteriorates, Vickers refuses to let him aboard, citing quarantine protocols. When he approaches Vickers, begging her to kill him, she burns him to death with a flamethrower. Shaw is devastated. Despite being sterile, Shaw is pregnant, according to a medical scan. David rescues her in order to transport her back to Earth in stasis, taking the cross her father gave her. She escapes and creates a horrifying cephalopod-like creature out of her unborn fetus by performing an automated medical procedure on Vickers' quarters. Vickers is Wayland's daughter, and Wayland intends to ask the engineers to help him avoid his death, according to her. A mutated Fifield is discovered just outside the hangar bay and attacks and kills several crew members before being killed himself. Janek theorizes that the moon they are on was used by the engineers as a military base until they lost control of their biological weapons, namely the cylinders and the black fluid they contain. The remaining crew return to the structure and awaken the engineer, who is occupying what is discovered to be a spaceship. David speaks an alien language to the engineer, asking him why they made mankind and asking him to extend the life of his own creator, Mr. Wayland. The engineer responds by ripping his head out and killing Wayland and Ford. Shaw escapes from the alien ship as it is activated by the engineer. The still active David suggests the engineer is going to release the ampoules of black fluid on Earth, thus killing every living creature in the planet. Vickers orders Janek to return to Earth, but Shaw convinces him to stop the engineer's ship. Janek and his two surviving crewmen take off and crash the Prometheus into the engineer's ship while Vickers flees in an escape pod. The disabled engineer's ship crashes onto the planet, falling onto Vickers, crushing her. Shaw barely escapes being crushed herself. Shaw goes to the escape pod to retrieve supplies and finds that her aborted but still alive alien offspring has grown to gigantic size. The engineer survives the crash, enters the escape pod and attacks Shaw, who releases the tentacled creature. It subdues the engineer by thrusting an ovipositor down its throat. Shaw believes she's stranded on the planet until David contacts her and tells her that there are more of the engineer's ships elsewhere on the planet. She recovers David's remains from the alien ship, taking back the cross David had taken from her, and together they travel to and activate another engineer ship. Shaw and the remains of android David then take off to travel to the engineer's homeworld, Paradise, in an attempt to understand why they created humanity and why they later attempted to destroy it. In the final shot, in Vickers' escape pod, an alien creature bursts out of the dying engineer's chest. If you love our video, do like, share, and subscribe, and watch out our more videos.